As 2025 closes, Sri Lanka's economy seems to be back on its feet. After 5% growth in 2024, expansion continues this year. Inflation is under control and stability has returned. But with 1 in 4 Sri Lankans still facing poverty and natural disaster not sparing us, recovery is not yet shared by all. As we step into 2026, can business turn stability into momentum? Who better to ask than the chairman of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, Krishan Balendra, who is on Kaleidoscope Dialogues today, the very first day of 2026. As Sri Lanka enters 2026, what would you identify as the single most critical economic inflection point facing the country right now?
The economy has recovered well after our worst economic crisis in our history that we had in 2022, and we have seen a lot of resilience and stability and 2 years of decent GDP growth of around 5% in 2024 and expected to be close to 5% in 2025. We set ourselves on a very good path after the crisis and achieved the stability that we have achieved. It's important that we continue that discipline, remain on the path, and do everything that needs to be done to recover from the cyclone. So I think right now we would need to watch over the next few weeks and months how well we are able to manage the effects of the cyclone.
So business confidence is showing signs of recovery, it's on the uptick. How fragile is this optimism though, and what do you think could derail it at some point?
We took the right steps after the crisis. In a sense, it took a crisis to force us to do the right thing, and the economy has recovered well and faster than most people expected, and better than a lot of other countries have recovered after a crisis like this. So the business optimism that we have seen, I think, is quite solid and can be justified. I wouldn't call it fragile. What could derail it, of course, is if we don't stick to the path and stick to the discipline and continue with some of the reforms that we have committed to, and other possible impacts like the US tariffs, where there is still some uncertainty. But overall, I would say that I am confident that the economy will remain on this positive path and that the business optimism is justified.
So from the Chamber's perspective, what should be done structurally, or what should change structurally if Sri Lanka's economic growth is to be sustained rather than cyclical?
Sustaining this is critical. We've had decades of ups and downs, booms and busts. This time round it could be different. One critical factor is inflation and interest rates. If you look at the last so many decades, it's been cycles of high inflation, high interest rates, dropping inflation, low interest rates, and a repeat of that cycle. This time round, there is a real chance that inflation targeting could work. The central bank is now by law independent, and with that we could see for the first time stable interest rates, and that predictability can make a big difference for business. It's almost something that we are not used to in Sri Lanka as businesses that operate in Sri Lanka, because we've always had cycles. So if we can have predictable inflation, steady inflation, and flat interest rates, that can be quite a material difference.
What are investors, global investors, saying about Sri Lanka going forward in 2026? Are we a turnaround story, or are we a high-risk market?
It's only 2.5 years, 3 years since our worst economic crisis. We have come out of a default credit rating. We are seeing, looking at the investors and partners that we talk to, we are seeing early signs of interest returning to Sri Lanka. I wouldn't say we have turned the corner, but certainly there is reason to be optimistic. So if we can continue to see an improvement in the macro, it is likely that we will see more foreign interest in investment going forward.
So Sri Lanka has long talked of becoming a regional hub. Looking at it from that perspective, what is realistically achievable in the next 3 to 5 years?
What is very realistic is that we are next door to India, and the hub benefits of being next door to India. Just 1 hour away from South India, 2 hours away from Mumbai. We are already on the regional shipping links. The Colombo port is the largest port in South Asia, and it's really a port for India. 85% of the volume at the port is transshipment, and most of that transshipment are the containers coming in and out of India. And with the kind of growth you're seeing in India, container volumes are growing substantially every year. And becoming a regional hub for ports and logistics is very realistic. Becoming a regional hub for MICE events is also very realistic. We have seen with the opening of some of the new hotels in Colombo, Cinnamon Life and City of Dreams in particular, but ITC as well, where you can now host big regional events. We have seen increased interest in Colombo being a destination for conferences, especially out of, and MICE events, especially out of India. On the manufacturing side, that's another opportunity. I think more work needs to be done. We talk a lot about becoming a export-driven economy, but I haven't seen much policy work on what industries we have a comparative advantage in. I think more work needs to be done. Again, being so close to India, being a very similar culture, there is an opportunity for manufacturing to link up with the Indian supply chain, to become part of the Indian manufacturing supply chain. But I think more work, as I said, more work needs to be done on that. But just being next door to the fastest growing big economy in the world is a realistic opportunity for Sri Lanka.
Cost of living remains a pressure and a concern. How do businesses balance competitiveness with social responsibility, especially given what we've been through in December and just before?
Corporates in Sri Lanka have emphasized a lot on social responsibility, and after the recent events, you have seen a lot of corporates stepping up, not just with donations, but with their teams volunteering in the disaster-stricken areas. At the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, we've had almost all our members stepping up in a big way with donations, monetary donations and relief donations wherever they can, with their businesses, in their local communities, and hundreds and thousands of private sector staff volunteering. It's also important that, with the shortages that we may see, whether it's in vegetables and fruits and other items, that as a private sector we are responsible and that we don't try to profiteer from those shortages. But overall, the recent events was another good reflection that the Sri Lankan private sector is ready to step up when needed most.
Talent migration, skill gaps, a massive concern for Sri Lanka. Is the private sector building a future-ready workforce where you can look at this economic growth that we are talking about?
We need to address the reasons why Sri Lankans have emigrated and not remained in Sri Lanka. Young people who have grown up, gone to school, gone to university here, their families are here, I would expect, like to live in Sri Lanka. With the economic crisis, of course, we saw a big exodus from the private sector. So we have to address those issues that make them leave. Training, are we giving them the best training, international standard training? Are we showing them a career path to grow? Are we operating companies that are truly meritocratic rewarding the high performers? Is our compensation competitive? So number of factors that lead to Sri Lankans emigrating overseas for opportunities. We need to study those factors and address as many of them as we can. And I think that will go a long way to retaining the talent. And it's good to see that after the crisis, as the economy has shown resilience, stabilized, and shown some decent growth, that exodus has slowed down. And in fact, you are seeing some also looking to return to Sri Lanka.
So, global trade is realigning, geopolitics is shaping supply chains. Where does Sri Lanka fit into all this looking forward?
I spoke about the port opportunity, big opportunity there. We have the largest port in South Asia. It's already the hub port in South Asia. It's a natural deep water port. More container handling capacity has been added. So I think we can fit in a big way in ports and logistics. But in manufacturing, while we've had some good manufacturing sectors, going forward to become a export-driven economy, we need to identify other sectors where the country has a comparative advantage. We are next door to India, yes, next door to South Asia. India has a growing manufacturing base. How do we fit into that supply chain? We need to do more work there. But I think there is an opportunity. You are seeing, especially after COVID and now after the US tariffs, that Indian companies are looking to de-risk out of India. Sri Lanka is a choice because we are close by, similar culture, easy fit. But what are those areas? We need to identify where do we have a comparative advantage to be competitive in the global supply chain.
So, if you were to define success for Sri Lanka's business by the end of 2026, what would that look like in concrete terms?
We've had 2 years of good growth. So we've recovered well as an economy, GDP growth of around 5%. We need to maintain that momentum and in fact improve on that. And as a private sector, we have to continue to grow our businesses on all fronts and also to work with our partners, with our investors, look for new opportunities to generate FDI into the country. It's only with FDI that we will take our growth rate to a level where we will truly come out of this economic crisis that we've had. We've recovered and stabilized well, but we will need higher rates of growth going forward to truly achieve our potential. And for that, the private sector must identify new opportunities for investment and find the right partners from overseas to generate the FDI that will be needed for that.
Here's to better times ahead, Krishan.
Thank you, Savithri.
Catch all things Kaleidoscope, watch, follow and stay updated on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn.
You focus on your goals. We will take care of the risks. Ceylon.